Hey everybody, welcome to the second video. The second video in a series of videos that I'm doing for mathematics on the GED 2019 Kaplan book. I just wanted to show you guys, so each lesson there is an answer key, and I wanted to show you this in the beginning just in case during the course of what we're doing you may want to refer to it. So here it is, we're doing from lesson 2, basically all of this here, to lesson 3. So yeah, basically from here, let me see something real quick. Basically from all of this. Okay. Alright, so here we go with the first page. Okay, so let's see, this is whole numbers. Addition and subtraction. You use addition when you need to combine amounts. The answer in an addition problem is called the sum or total. When you are adding, it's helpful to stack the numbers in a column. So just like this. This number is not in a column. Here you see they've put them in a column. Be sure to line up the place value columns and then work from right to left, starting with the ones column. Sometimes the digits in a place value column add up to 10 or more. When this happens, you will need to regroup to the next place value. Okay, so for example, that right there, well, we'll go through that when we do the problem. So here's example 1. Align the numbers you want to add on the ones column. Okay, so as you can see, they've already done this. This is the ones column. Ones, tens, hundreds. So push everything to the right, line them up. Any number that has extra digits, the extra digits should be sticking out to the left, not the right. Okay, add the tens column, including the regroup 1. Okay. Well, that's step 2. We'll start from step 1. So since the column totals 13, sorry. Okay, so working from right to left, add the ones column first. Since the ones column totals 13, write the 3 in the ones column and regroup or carry the 1 10 to the tens column. So this is basically what they mean. So we're adding 0 plus 9 is still 9, okay? Plus 4 is 13. So we can't put 13 here because we can only take up the place value of the numbers that we've added. So if we put a 1 here, then it would take up the place value of the tens place, okay? Which we cannot do. So in that case, we have to carry the 1, which they're calling regrouping. So that's what they did. 9 plus 4 plus 0 is 13, so we put the 3 down in that column, then we carry the 1 to the tens place column, which is the next column over. Okay. Then we'll do the same thing. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Okay, so as you can see, that's what they did here. They put a 9 there. Okay, now we have one column left to add. Since there's only one number or one digit, then we just bring that one down. If there was another one, we would add the 2, then bring it down. Okay, since this is in the hundreds column, which is 3 spaces over, that's why it would be on the hundreds column here, which is 3 spaces over. So that's basically, I skipped this and went ahead and finished it for you. So you subtract, well, let me read this anyways. Then add the hundreds column. Since there is only one value, write the 100 in the answer. Okay, which is that's basically what it meant. Okay, you subtract when you want to find the difference between two amounts. Write the greater number on top and align the amounts on the ones column. You may also need to regroup as you subtract. Okay, so example 1, example 2, if Sue is 57 and Kathy is 38, how many years older is Sue? Find the difference in their ages. Start with the ones column. Since 7 is less than the number being subtracted, regroup or borrow. 110 from the tens column. Add the regrouped amount to the ones column. Now subtract 17 from 8. So this is 57 minus 38. So imagine that these numbers are not here, 4 and 17, okay? And imagine these are not crossed out. So you just have 57 over 38. But so we want to subtract the right column, which is the ones column, okay? And we cannot subtract 8 from 7. So what they did here is they crossed the 7 out because they're going to borrow from the 5. If we borrow 1 from the 5, then that would make this a 4. So what they did is they put a 4 right there to remind them that this is now a 4. And since they borrowed 1 from the tens place, that would mean they get a whole another 10 digits. Okay, so 10 plus the 7 here is 17. So they put 17 right here. You don't actually even have to calculate that. You could just know that if you borrow 1 from here, it'll always be 1 in front of this number. So if this was 8, then it would be 18. So now we can subtract it. So this is no longer usable. Okay, so we work with these numbers up here. 17 minus 8 equals 9. So we put the 9 down. Then we need to do this column. Okay, we'll go down here for that. So again, this 5 is not usable. New number is 4, so 4 minus 3 is 1. So we have the answer, and that is 19. So Sue is 19 years older than Kathy. Okay, that's called regrouping or borrowing, all this stuff right there. Let's see. Okay, go to the next page over here. Actually, I'm pretty sure the next page is this one over here. Okay, so let me just confirm that. 22. Nope. In fact, let me see what we actually just did. Okay, so this is actually the next page. Okay, so multiplication and division. Give me 1 sec here. Just going to go to my reference over here, because I don't believe actually that this is the next page. Sorry about this, guys. We're actually looking for page 221. Here we go. Okay. So, example 3. Find the difference between 205 and 67. Subtract, let me see this. Subtract, start with the ones column. Since 5 is less than the number being subtracted, 7, regroup. Since there are 0 tens in the tens column, regroup 100 from the hundreds column. From tens column, from 10 tens, regroup 110 to the ones column. Now subtract 15 to 7. I know this whole tens, hundreds column can be complicated or confusing if you're not familiar with it, with place values, but This is always, the right is always ones, these are always tens, these are always 100s, okay? Let's see, so basically what they did here, again, we're going to imagine that these numbers are not here because they've already done the work, and imagine these are not crossed out. So this is 205 over 67, okay? So what they did here, you basically need to subtract this number from this number. So 5 minus 7, you cannot take 7 away from 5, okay? Because it's a smaller number. So what they needed to do was borrow from this number. But as you can see, that's a 0, so they can't borrow from it. Also, just as a side note, even if it was a, say, 1 or 2 or 3 or anything lower than this or equal to the 6, we still couldn't borrow from it because it would need to be at least 6 up here to subtract from the 6 down here. So this one in turn needs to borrow from this one. So we just keep it like a even borrowing from all of them. So we go to the 2, we cross that out, now we know it's a 1, okay? So we added 1 to the 0, okay, which makes it a 10, which is what they did right there. And then, but because we need to borrow from this 10 for this column over here, they went ahead and made that 9, since we're borrowing 1. And remember, the 1, since we're borrowing from 10's column, the 1 plus the 5 is 15, or always, again, just 1 with 1 in front of the 5. So we have 15 here. So 15 minus 7 equals 8. Okay, then moving over, 9 minus 6 equals 3. It's pretty important, just as a side note, guys, to make sure that you cross the numbers out that you're not actually using anymore, because it can get a little confusing. Okay, now we move over to the hundreds column. 1 minus, there's no number here, so 1 minus 0 remains 1. So that's what they did here. 1 minus 0, imaginary 0, is 1. So we know the number is 138. Okay? Let's see. So here we go. Practice here. We've already done these already, but go ahead and take time to practice. Let's see. Let's try one of them here. Unfortunately, I don't really have the ability to change this. I can do this here, as you can see, but it fades away in a few seconds, so it doesn't actually allow me to write anything. But for example, 2500 minus 383, you can't take 0, you can't take 3 away from 0, and you can't take 8 away from 0. So you would basically borrow from the 5 for these two numbers. So you would make this, cross that out, make it a 4, cross out 5, make it a 4. This would become 10. The 0 here would become 10, okay? But then you still need to borrow for this number. So you turn the 10 to a 9 to lend to this number. Now this one becomes a 10, okay? Because there's always a 1 and a 0. Or 1 in front of whichever number this is. Okay, so then you would just do 10 minus 3, we know, is 7. Then this one is a 9, so 9 minus 8 equals 1. We know this is a 4 because we borrowed 1 from this to give to these guys here. So 4 minus 3 equals 1. And then 2 minus 0, imaginary 0 here, is still 2. Okay, so that number would be, I kind of forgot what it was, but 2, 1, 1, 7. 2,117 would be the answer there. Guess we can try one with addition. So 6 plus 2 would be 8. 8 plus 9 would be 17. Okay, so remember, we can't just put 17 down here because that would take 2 places. So we put 8 plus 9 is 17. So we bring the 1, put it on top of the 3, and just put the 7 here, okay, under the 8 and the 9. And then we would do 3 plus 6 is 9. Remember, we carried the 1 over here, so plus 1 more is 10. Again, we put 0 here and carry the 1 up here. So now we have 1 up here, plus 2 is 3, plus this 1 is 4. Okay, so that would be your answer. Let's see. I pretty much did the big numbers for you, so you apply the same logic. You don't always need to borrow and regroup. For example, you know, this one here, the 3 is larger than the 1, so you can just subtract the 1 from the 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. 7 minus 2 is 5, so the number is 52 there. Same here. Well, this is addition. Be careful too, guys, when you're actually doing the test. I can't remember exactly if they have if they actually combine the numbers like this, addition with subtraction, but just be very careful. Look for these. Obviously that's addition, this is subtraction here, 'cause sometimes when you do an addition problem and then you can still be in the addition mindset, so you go here and you add these as well, but there's actually a subtraction sign, so you're supposed to subtract, and that can kind of mess you up. I know it's messed me up several times. So rewrite the problems in the column before solving. Okay, I know. Oh. So it does mention something here. Let me try and go to this previous page really quick. 222, 221. I think I actually closed the original page, so. Rewrite the problems. Okay, I see. So basically, rewrite these problems in columns. See how they're not in columns? They're actually side by side. Okay, so basically when you're putting them in columns is you're just writing them instead of side by side, you're writing them up and down, just like this, okay? So that's what you would want to do over here. Change them into columns. And that's that, because so that you can actually work out the problem, because you can't work it out like this. You can't do the whole regrouping and borrowing. You could probably do it mentally, but why go through all that? Okay, choose the best answer to each question. So what is the total weight of boxes below? Something that is kind of, well, that is very useful to know as well is, example, deciding what you need to do. Do you need to add these or subtract them? Okay, so what is the total weight of the boxes below? So we know that if we want to get the total, we have to add all of these together. Okay, so again, you will put them in a column up and down instead of just side to side like this. Okay, and then just do the problem the same way here. Then you will get the total. Celia's share for lunch is $7. If she pays with a $20 bill, how much change should she get? Well, so this one we know is a subtraction problem because we need to find the difference between the two. Okay, we're not adding up the totals. So again, you would put 20, write 20, then a 7 down here, then put the little minus sign line under it, then work out the problem that way. 20 minus 7, I know off the top of my head, is 13. However, with this problem, you would need to take, since this is a 0, it's going to be a 0 on the 20 over 7. You would need to borrow from the 2, which would make the 2 a 1, and would make the 0 a 10. Okay, so 10 minus 7 is 3, plus the 2, which is now 1. 2 subtract 0 away from 1 makes it 13. Okay, so let's go to the next page. Okay, let me get rid of this little dot. This is actually why I'm not just doing these in full screen, so I can actually see the toolbars and stuff. Now we are at page 222. Okay, we're getting into multiplication and division. So multiplication and division is considered a little more difficult. Nevertheless, it's not. It's just really learning how to do it. It's best if you don't know your multiplication tables. You know, they have the multiplication charts, which go up to like 12 times 12. So you learn all your multiplications, your 1 times tables, your 2 times tables, and that's all very useful since the GED will have time restraints. At least if you know the tables, you can recall the answers quite quickly. And really, as an adult, it'll probably only take you 1 day to learn all the tables. Maybe a little longer than that, depending on how much effort you put into it. Okay, multiplication and division. You multiply to combine the same amount multiple times. For example, instead of adding 24 plus 24 plus 24, you could multiply 24 by 3. If a problem asks you to find the product of 2 or more numbers, you should multiply. Find the product of 24 times 63. So it would be very inconvenient to have to write out 24 63 times, and way more complicated as well than just putting it into a multiplication, multiplication form, which is like this here. Okay, so we'll go through that. Example 4, find the product of 24 and 63. So the product is like the sum to an addition problem. The product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So align place values as you rewrite the problem in a column. Multiply the ones place of the top number by the ones place of the bottom number. 4 times 3 equals 12. Write the 2 in the ones place in the first partial product. Regroup the 1, 10. Okay, so again, you do regroup here as well, just because, well, I'll show you. So as you see, 3, 1 second. So you have 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so since you can't put 12 here, since it can only take one place value, just like in the addition problem, you put the 2 here, you carry the 1. Okay, so now you do 3 times 2, or 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so be careful when you use this number here, you're just adding 1 and you're not doing multiplication with the carried number. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Okay, which puts 7 right there, which is what they did right here, 72. So we have done the number to the right, okay, the 3. Now we need to do the number to the left. So in like form, you can put a 0, see, because basically any answer that you get, you will be putting it straight under the 6 on the second line. Okay, for example, 6 times 4 is 24. So we can't put 24 here, remember, because we can only take one place value, so they brought the 2 up here. Okay, you may be wondering where this 0 came from. You could technically just leave the 0 out. They do it here just to take up the place, though. So you could put a 0 there. It'll always be a 0 though, because you don't want to just put some random number here which will change the answer to that. Whereas 0 doesn't change the answer to anything. So 6 times 4 is 24. Bring the 2 up there. Put the 4 right there. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, then remember, plus 2 is 14. So 1, 4. So when you get all the way to the left, you can add the numbers. It can take up 2 place values, okay, because there's no more numbers that you'll need to multiply. So you can use this place as well to finish the answer. So then once you have this, the two answers from up here, well, the unfinished answers, then you would combine the two. So 2, and it's always addition. 2 plus 0 is 2. 7 plus 4 is 11. So they didn't show it here, but you would put 7 plus 4 again here. Since there's more stuff you need to add over here, you can only take one place right here. So 7 plus 4 is 11. Put the 1 here, and really they should have put a 1 over the 4 right there. Okay, so then you know 4 plus the 1 is 5. That's where they get this 5 from. And then you have the 1 over here, so you have nothing to add it with, so you just bring it down, and your answer is 1512. Let's see, so to divide means to find how many equal parts an amount can be divided into. The amount being divided is called the dividend. The number you are dividing by is the divisor. So this is the dividend here, which is being divided by the divisor. And the answer to a division problem is the quotient. Okay, so the answer that you'll get up here when it's all said and done will be the quotient. So divide the total amount, 54, by the amount of ways the money is to be split. Okay, so 54 is to be split 3 ways. You're trying to see, yeah, basically just what I said. You're trying to divide 54 into 3 equal parts. You know, let's use a smaller number. If you wanted to divide 9 by 3, it can be divided 3 times. Okay, so you'd have 3 equal parts. So let's see with this one, how many equal parts you'd have. And just by the way, the 3 equal parts, when you combine them, they would equal 9. They have to equal the number that you divided from. Okay, so divide the total amount, 54, by the number of ways the money is to be split, which is 3. Work from left to right. How many times does 3 go into 5? Write the answer 1 directly above the 5. So that means you don't just go 3 goes into 54, because that's a pretty long number, and maybe you can't do that in your head. Sometimes the numbers will be like this. You know, it's hard to know how many times 4 goes into 1006. So basically, to break it down, they just do one number at a time. So 3 into 5. Okay, so since 3 does go into 5, this does work. We just put 3 into 5, it goes into 5 one time. Okay, not evenly, but it still goes in there once. If this was a 2, then you would combine this number with this number. So if this was a 2, this was still a 4, then you'd have to go 3 goes into 24. Okay, then you would put the answer here above the 4, not above the 2, which would be 8. Okay, so let's continue. So 3 goes into 5 one time, then you do 1 times 3 equals 3. Okay, so then you go 3 goes into 3 how many times? Goes in there, it goes in there. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. let's actually move here before we continue here. Continue dividing, bringing down the 4 from the 1's place in the dividend. How many times does 3 go into 24? Write the answer 8 directly above the 4 in the dividend. Since 3 times 8 equals 24, subtract 24 minus 24 equals 0. Okay, each child should receive 18. So, as you can see, what they did down here is, so you brought the 3 down here. 1 goes into 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, then you take 5 away. You take 3 away from 5. So 5 minus 3 equals 2. Then you try again. Does 3 go into 2? No, it does not. So you have to borrow from this 4. So you bring the 4 down. 3 goes into 24. So you put 8 up here. You always put it over the number that you last used from here, which was the 4 that you brought down. 3 times 8, or 8 times 3 is 24. So put 24 under here. Then get the sum of this. 24 minus 24 is 0. So you know your answer is 18. So you have three equal parts of 18 can go into 54. So, or another way to write that, you can put 18 plus 18 plus 18. That would equal 54. Example, divide 1006 by 4. So, pretty much same principle, divide the total amount of 1006 by 4. Work from left to right. Since 4 doesn't divide into 1, use the next place value in the dividend. How many times does 4 go into 10? Write the answer 2 directly above the 0 in the dividend. Since 4 times 2 equals 8, subtract 10 minus 2 equals 2. So like I had said before, since 4 does not go into 1, you then have to use this number 0 to add to the 1, or not add, but to make it a larger number. So 4 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. So we put the 8 here. So then we subtract 10 minus 8 is 2. So now we see again, does 4 go into 2? No, it does not. So we're going to have to use the next number over that hasn't been used yet, 0. We put it right here. Okay, then 4 goes into 20. Yes, it does go into 20. Let's go to the next page where this continues. Okay, so to continue here, 4, we did, we brought down the 0. What do you call it? Then does 4 go into 2? Yes, no it doesn't. We brought down the 0. 4 goes into 25 times. So we put the 5 over the number that we last used here. Remember, we used the 0 to bring down here. 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so we write 20 here. Now subtract 20 from 20. So 0. What do you call it? 20 minus 20 is 0. So you can see they put the 0 here. Okay. And then they brought down the 6 from up here. 6 down here. 4 goes into 6, does it? Yes, it goes in 1 time. So bring the 1 over the 6, since that's what we last used. Then 1 times 4 is 4. Put the 4 here. Then we subtract. Okay. 4 goes into, 6 minus 4 equals 2. So, if there were more numbers here, we could keep going, bring down the other number, put it here. 4 goes into that number how many times? But since there are no more numbers here, then whatever is left here is the remainder. Okay, so we put R, which signifies remainder. and then 2. This lets us know that 4 does not go into 1006 evenly. It does go in there 251 times with 2 left over. Okay. Okay, this one here, this is basically practice, so it's just like it on the previous page. See it's set up division here, 5 goes into 65, so just keep doing this, the same process that we did here, and then with the times tables, multiplication questions, same thing. 8 times 2 is 16, so 8 times 2 is 16, so we put the 1 over the 4, bring the 6 down here. 8 times 4 is, let's see, 2 times 8 is 16, 3 times 6, 4 times 6, 2 times 16 is 34. So we put, again, can only use one number, so we put the 3 up here, then the 4 down here. Actually, sorry guys, we had carried one number over here, so from the 2, because the 2 times 8 was 16, so we put 6 here, and we put the 1 up here, so then 8 times 4 is 32, plus the 1 that we had carried over is 33, so we put 3 there, plus, and then we bring down the 4 here, so far we have a 4 and a 6, okay. Then 3 times 8 is 24, so plus, yeah, 3 times 8 is 32. Sorry, 24, plus the 3 we had carried here is 24, 25, 26, 27. So we bring down 27, and we had 27, and the other two numbers, which I forget because of this thing that fades. I believe it was 2746, 2746. Okay, so just pretty much do that just like that. These the same. So if multiplying more than two numbers, find the product of two numbers before multiplying by the next number, and so on. Okay, so what that means here, basically these you would all put in column form like this. So 50 times 5, you put the bigger number on top and 5 on the bottom. Same here, 179, you would do like 4, you'd put the 4 right here, and then 179, you would put 179, okay? Then work it out the same way. So now with these numbers, basically what it's referring to here, if multiplying more than two numbers, find the product of two numbers before multiplying by the next number. For example, this 25 times, instead of 25 times 3 times 2, what you would do is solve 25 times 3 first. So you put up just like in this form, okay, 25, and then 3 down here, okay. And then you would figure that out. Okay, I could do it with in my head. 3 times 25 is 75. So now that you have the product of that, then you would go 75 times 2. Okay, then figure that out, which I know off the top of my head is 150, but that's kind of the idea. Do the same thing here, figure these two out first, and then the product of that, which is the answer, you would multiply by 4. Okay. Choose the one best answer to each question. A fruit juice container holds 16 servings. If the serving size is 6 ounces, how many ounces does the container hold in all? So you have to kind of figure out what this is asking you to do. Basically, there's 16 servings, and each serving is 6 ounces. Okay, so how many ounces does the container hold? So if there are 16 of these 6 ounces, you would have to multiply 6 by 16 to get the answer, which, let's see, 6 by, so I'll just tell you the answer right now. But you would pretty much, well, not pretty much, you would set it up exactly like this. 16 would be up top, and then 6 would be right here, and the answer to that is 96. Okay, again, that's why we set up these problems in the proper form, because doing this in your head takes a while, and the larger the numbers get, the harder it is to actually do it in your head. So D, for questions 24, write your answer on the line provided. How many 2-foot lengths can be cut from the string shown below? Okay, so we know there are 12 feet. So what they want us to do is how many 2 feet can go into 12 feet. So how would we guess that? We need to basically find the equal parts. How many equal parts would there be? So we know that this is division. Okay, so you would set it up just like this over here, for example. This would be the 2, and this right here would be the 12 feet. Okay, and we know that 2 goes into 12, or 12 divided by 2 is 6 times. Okay, so cashier has 15 5 bills. How much money does he have? So again, cashier has 15 $5 bills. So if you have one $5 bill, okay, well, let's say this way. If you have, just imagine 15 $5 bills laying out on the table. You have to add them all up. In this case, you would just multiply them. Again, set it up like this. Your 5 would be here, and your 15 would be up on top, okay? And that would be 75 would be the answer you'd get for that. Anyways, that's the end of this lesson. Thank you guys. I hope it helped. Any questions or suggestions, please just leave a note, leave a comment. If you did appreciate this, please subscribe and like. Thank you very much.